Good afternoon. I'd like to call the budget workshop to order for July the 25th, 2024 for the city of Freeport. I'd like to turn it over to the finance director, please.
Okay, I want to start with the summary information, the budget highlights. And what I have done is I have bolded the items that were either discussed or added since the last council meeting. I wanted to go over those very quickly. Discussed at the last council meeting was the lift to make the stage in the community center ADA compliant. And Matilda so graciously gave me a price of $12,000 on that. And I'd come across my notes that we need a new server in City Hall. So $15,000 was added in for that. And on the financing modeling fee, I changed that to under my department because they are going to serve for whatever financing purposes the city may have. I had originally placed it under sewer because sewer is the one that's currently looking for financing, but they can serve any department, any place with any of our needs. So I thought it was more appropriate to go under my department. Also discussed were the building safety improvements and planning for $20,000. If I'm moving too fast, does anybody have any questions?
You're doing good.
Okay. And the next item, the Christmas decorations, they were increased from $5,000 to $20,000, as discussed at the last council meeting. And on the back of the page, the pickleball courts was discussed to put that to $350,000 from, with $170,000 being carried over. And it was discussed in reference to the barrier-free park. There were 4 items that remained for that grant to be complete. And when I say that grant, that was from when the state gave us that property and we said we would make certain improvements to it. And the water fountain, including running the lines, hopefully that $56,000 is an overshot. That's what we're hoping, because what we did not put in here was the remaining items was a bicycle rack, which I don't think that'll be very pricey, but the one thing that will be would be boardwalks, 2 boardwalks with an overlook, and we're looking at doing that in 2026 because that one is going to be expensive and we do need to get a decent price for that, because we are looking at the composite wood, because if we do anything else it just won't last more than a year or 2.
That's right.
In reference to that. Moving right on along in the parks, mid-size pickup, and we also added a lift. He's hoping to find a used one for around $60,000, and this has to do with putting up the Christmas decorations or anything else that has to occur. I mean, over time, we're spending the money on renting these lifts.
Yeah.
And then another thing at the barrier-free park, but this is more equipment because it's a spider net. It can be removed from the park, but won't be because it has to be in that park. And Red had got me a quote on that for $43,350. And then in conversation with the engineer, we added in with water, loop system at Business 331 and Highway 20. That will greatly help the water pressure. If you have any questions, Larry's right here. He's all for it from when I talked to him. He said, yes, he's been pushing for that one for a while. And within the sewer system, smoke test for the I&I at the sewer plant. And then in conversation with the engineer, design for the current reclaim system improvement to put a new pump in there. And design for wastewater bypass line from Business 331 to US 331 North. Because we know we wouldn't get the construction in 2025. And then in conversations with Paul, I said, you didn't put any bypass pumps in the budget. He said, yep, I didn't get 3. So those have been added as well. Are there any questions, concerns, additions, deletions that the council wants?
I'm good.
Okay. The next item that I was asked to look at was the difference between a 4% COLA with a 3-2-1 merit or a 4% COLA with a 2 and a 1% merit. And the difference in the pay amount only between those two options is a little over $22,600.
Where's it at in here?
I just did the analysis because that's all I was asked to do, so I didn't give you your salary sheets because I don't know what to put in at this point in time. I need more direction from you.
So what was it again?
The difference, it was basically a COLA of 4 with a merit up to 3, or a COLA of 4 with a merit up to 2. And the difference is a little over $22,600 between those two options in the pay. And this is where I do need council direction.
I'd like to talk about one thing, possibly adding, they're still working on raising the funds for the Veterans Park and for the statue that they're going to put in there. And I would like the city to take part in that also and put a little bit of money. I know we do stuff towards it, but to put towards that statue that's going to be put in there.
The dollar amount would you like?
I'll say 5,000. I think they're lacking about 8 on it.
Are there any other comments on this? I can get this in, and I can get that in the budget.
I don't have a problem with it.
Got no problem with it.
Sorry. I will. We were just discussing,
Okay. Well, what was the $5,000 that Councilman Dickey was referring to?
that was in reference to adding, for the Veterans Park,
Oh.
the statute,
Bless you.
um,
That sounds good.
$5,000.
Sure.
And what I was discussing just prior to you walking in was, council had directed me to give them the difference between 4% COLA with an up to 3%
Yes.
merit, and then 4% with up to a 2% merit.
Right.
And the difference is a little over $22,600 in the pay.
Okay.
Me personally, I like the 4 with a 3% merit
Yeah, I do too.
because they deserve it. I mean, everybody works hard for this city.
I agree with that too.
Okay?
I agree with it. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
That's what we will do. Besides your eye coming to talk to the council after I'm finished, the only thing that I am lacking and which I hope to have by next week would be the insurance for the city, the property, the liability, the workers' comp. I've got an estimate. Hopefully what I did was went over what the actual quote is going to be. We may have some options to bring to the council, I'm not sure. Regardless, the insurance will go before the council for council approval. That has to happen. But the last item that I need to discuss is possibly one more workshop, and hopefully at that one, I would present a balanced budget with the items, with the addition of the veteran statute and everything that I have currently on the budget highlight sheet. If the council wants to just wait until their next night meeting, right before that meeting, or right after your meeting, your first meeting in August, which would be the 6th of August. I hope to have the insurance information by then. August 6th might be a little bit too early.
It'd be the 13th though, right? It's 13th.
So we're having to do it a week early.
Oh, that's
because of
right.
Move to the
election.
6th.
That's right.
Because if it was the 13th, that would work, probably.
Oh, for that meeting on the 6th, I'm not gonna, I didn't realize we moved it, but I won't be here that day.
Okay, so that one is out.
August
I won't be
6th,
here.
we're doing
It's
it a
the
week
kids'
early.
It's the teacher stuff that morning, so
Instead.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not skipping that, sorry.
No, I don't blame you. Not at all. Been there, done that. And don't get me wrong, this is something that I would have to add to tonight's meeting for the council to actually set the next budget workshop. I was just throwing this out here for conversation.
So was there not a way we could have moved our meeting to the county offices and just kept it on the same day?
They were using theirs for the same reason we wanted it.
Okay. All right.
When did we move ours to?
In
6th.
January.
The 6th.
And then August 6th.
Oh, sorry,
Oh,
in
yeah.
January, there was a vote on it, but yeah, August 6th is the new date.
So what do we read here?
I'm waiting to hear what date would the
Let's
council
do it the
like for
last
this.
meeting, so everybody will be there, and, well, maybe you'll have time to get everything together.
Okay.
Is it okay with
Do you
everybody?
want to, I mean, we can discuss this at the, I'll add this
22nd.
on to this agenda this
Be on the
evening,
22nd.
Yeah,
to set it for the
Yeah.
Sound
22nd.
good to you?
absolutely.
22nd, right?
Okay, any questions, comments for me? Okay, I believe you turn it over to your right.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
So, there we go. So we'll start out on just giving you an update on some of the activity of the EDA over the last year, as well as I did bring an interesting project that I can talk about that recently came in that we're working on, trying to attract the community. That is not confidential. And then we'll go into some of the rankings that I've created and the budget request itself. So I've been here for about a year and 6 months now. It has been a busy one. We have brought on 2 part-time staff. We have 1 person that is handling our grants and compliance efforts. As you all know, we won another grant this year. So $830,000 to complete work on the 83A West and Highway 20 intersection. So there's a traffic light that will be funded there. The county's putting that, helping put that in, and funding that delta. Exciting news for our community. And I've also moved offices 4 times. So I am finally in an amazing office. And I would love everybody to come see me up there. I know a few of you all have, but it's up at Northwest Florida State College. That is being contributed to us by Northwest Florida State College. So we also have a beautiful conference room up there. If anybody in our community, business-wise, ever needs a place to meet, we welcome that opportunity. So as you all know, there is a Triumph project that we are pursuing that we have covered before. The other one that I will talk about that we're going to Clay, correct me if I'm wrong, but our interim city manager in Phoenix Springs has been congratulated with the child, is that right?
He is,
That's
yes.
very neat. So I've had a little delay in getting with our counterpart in Phoenix Springs, but they're going to be working on a Triumph project for their Phoenix Springs Airport. As I'm sure many of you know, they have recently won $3 million or so from the state to build out some additional facilities there at the airport. Now onto the project. There is a neat project called Project Kilowatt. It is from Florida Commerce. I'm telling you this because it's not under confidentiality and I can talk about it. The way these things happen is within a very short period of time, I am provided an opportunity to respond to. And this one's been here for about a week. And I have to respond to it tomorrow. I've really got to get it in. This is a electric marine manufacturer, electric boat manufacturer, and they're looking for a site to put a 100 to 150,000 square foot building. They've already got their financing approved. Their budget is around $18 million, and they want to put people to work, 150 people to work, with an average wage of $75,000. This is the third unique marine opportunity that we've had in the course of time that I've been there. Some of them we have not been able to bid on because we didn't have the exact constraints. This one we can. The hard part about this one, I want to give you the example, and this is where I think we're going to start probably trying to pour some energy into seeing this recurring thing and the lightning strike I had going through this. So I don't have a piece of property that is owned by either the city or the county or the EDA that says, hey, this property is for economic development today, right? And we can say, hey, these guys right now, let's go to Freeport, we can hold it, you know, Councilwoman Brandon, you know that there's not a lot of people out there that own property that say, we don't mind tying it up with no contract for the next year while people figure out how to get their business here. And that's the benefit of having owned industrial properties or unique opportunities like that. And we don't have one in Freeport. However, there was a private property owner that I was able to have a conversation with. They're very, very early in their development of a large-scale project here in Freeport, and they said they were excited at the opportunity to serve as a potential landing spot for this business. So we have partnered with that private property owner to bring this as an opportunity, and now we're going to apply and cross our fingers. But this brings me to a larger point. This is a boat manufacturer, and they want access to waterways quickly to get to full throttle that thing and go test it. And they need it to be calm, is one of the other requirements. Recently, in our neighboring area, Panama City won an opportunity to host the worldwide Suzuki Marine testing facility, and that is now located in Panama City Beach. And one of their requirements was calm water. Well, as I got into this project and I started thinking about it, I was like, there are so many reasons for us to start marketing calm water as a place for marine manufacturing in Freeport. You driving north on 331 and you look out on to your east, it's the Choctachi Bay, but you might as well call it a lake. Because we've got that 331 old bridge land that separates it, and it's usually calm on that side or calm on the other, right? So one of the items at the EDA, as an update, we're going to bring up some focus areas, and one of the focus areas I'm going to bring up is the idea of honing and crafting that messaging around that idea of making, a marine testing area and going after marine manufacturing. And Anchor Your Growth here is a really nice way to lead into it. I covered the grant awards, our social and engagement strategies. We've added subscribers to our newsletter. Our LinkedIn is over tripled in engagement and followers. Our web traffic is up. It was actually not even being measured prior. I covered the office moves. We had our first ever annual meeting. We will continue to do that. You are all welcome. It will be a publicly noticed meeting continuing forward. But the idea is we get everybody as well as the public into a room, and I get to go over a PowerPoint of what we have done for the year. And we did that at the Chautauqua Hall of Brotherhood this year. And then our Business Leadership Council, of which Councilman Tracy Dickey sits on. We've had 3 of those events, and we'll be having some more of those here shortly. Actually, I've spoken with Mark. One of the things we'd like to do is bring that Business Leadership Council. And if you go to that next slide with the private investment, Kathy, the Business Leadership Council is comprised of not only everybody from the public sector, but also a representative of each one of our investors at the, yes ma'am, at the $5,000 level. So each one of these entities has a person that sits on what's called our Business Leadership Council. And the goal with the Business Leadership Council is to make sure that we create engagement and conversations and transfer of information. Sewer, water, those things are important to our community. Infrastructure. So one of the things we will be scheduling probably in the next couple of months is coming out and having everybody see the great things that are happening in Freeport, actually around sewer, and making sure that everybody buys in and understands what sewer means to a community, what the long-term vision is. Every time Tilly and I talk, she brings up the plans, and it's pretty wild how far out we're looking, right? And getting that vision and those things into these stakeholders is important. So I'll pause here for a moment. When I started, the EDA had an annual budget of $284,000. The challenge was we need to have staff. We've added 2 part-timers. I'm still looking for that full-time person. I actually just got done with an interview prior to this meeting. The other challenge was, Uriah, go out and find out how much money you can get from the private sector. So this is evidence that actually since November, so still less than a year, we have added $75,000 of investment to this EDA to participate and partner with you all, an alliance partner, in this thing of developing our economy. I almost feel like we're a thirst quencher, right? You know, like there are people out there that really want to get engaged with us all. And I think this is evidence of that. So peer comparisons, that next slide. This is a scorecard I created because I want everybody to sort of understand some of the data relative to economic development that I think is very important. This is not a right or wrong scorecard. It is simply a scorecard that I have created so that we all kind of understand the metrics from which we just fact of the matter are. You have our annual wages as that first column. Walton County has the mid-tier, we're yellow, so we're the 3rd place in the middle of average annual wages across the panhandle from Bay to Escambia, our coastal peers. Manufacturing share of jobs. This is your total number of jobs in the community and the percentile of those that are manufacturing. So we're down at 1.4%, we are last place. Part of that, I think, is just we're also the lowest in population. So I think, you know, manufacturers like communities with populations because they need a workforce, right? So as we continue to grow, especially in the Freeport area, it's going to be, I think, easier to attract those manufacturing positions. Manufacturing wages, you see those are all higher than annual, but we are on the lowest tier there. Housing burden, we're in the middle of the pack. The reason I brought housing burden into this is housing burden is the relative to the amount of money that people are spending on housing. So the first column, housing burden, that is people that are spending more than 30% of their household income on housing. 50% of our community in Walton County is spending more than 30% on housing. The next column is 22% of Walton County is spending more than 50% of their household income on housing. This is an important metric because when cost of housing is high, it is more difficult to attract folks into your community. I will say, the neat thing about Freeport is you guys know how to develop a community. You are doing it actively. Fastest growing city in the state of Florida. It's working. Keep doing it. Some of the bureaucracies of our neighbors, you know, we need to speed it along a little bit, right? Alice, asset limited, income constrained, and employed. This means basically folks that are working paycheck to paycheck. That is what an Alice community member is. We're in 4th place there with 43% of our community is qualified as living paycheck to paycheck. So as you can see, we're ranked last again. That is just a metric that I hope with myself and you all actively collaborating, we can continue to try to improve. And then our budget, and this is against for the EDA compared to its peers. I want you to understand the relativity here, and understand that while I am asking for an increase this year, it is the same essentially amount that I asked for last year. I hope that is evidence that I'm not trying to continue to create something that is, high amounts of growth. And I want you to understand the relativity of that to our peers. Bay County estimated budgets around $800,000, Escambia $2 million, Santa Rosa County $900,000, Okaloosa $700,000. And what I did is I took that number and divided it into our taxable value as an entire community to show the percentile, because that's the percentage, makes it fair. We are spending, even if you fund me at the amount I'm asking for, we will still be the lowest funded relative to our worth as a community in the Panhandle. I think I want that to stand as evidence. Again, I am not seeking an exorbitant amount of money. I'm seeking to just get us in the game, to have a minimal operations of an organization. Lastly, while I was looking through all this data, I found two interesting data points that I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention. Construction and tourism are often regarded as low-wage jobs in the communications of our public, right? They often say, oh, well, construction doesn't pay and tourism doesn't pay. I wanted to bring these to your attention because not only am I going to show you the average annual wages, but I'm going to show you how much of our workforce is in that industry and how it's relative to our peers along the Panhandle. So 10% of Walton County's workforce is employed in construction. It's a pretty high number. It's the highest of all of our peers. And believe it or not, it pays more than our average annual wage in Walton County. That's surprising, right? So it actually pays about $3,000 more than the average annual wage in Walton County, which is about $52,000. Now, hospitality, leisure and hospitality, it is less than our average annual wage, but what's very interesting about it is it pays exceptionally higher than our peers in the Panhandle. And I do think I want to communicate this from a positive benefit to our community, that leisure and hospitality offers, especially our younger folks in high school, getting out of high school, just, maybe figuring out their youthful lives, they're able to enter into the highest paying leisure and hospitality market in the Panhandle with, oftentimes little to no skill level. And they're paying 30% more than our neighbors, give or take. So again, I'm not saying we need to grow our leisure and hospitality, but I wanted to provide some interesting numbers just for everybody to kind of understand about that. With that said, we'll get down to the ask that I'd like to discuss with you all. Last year, I asked for essentially the same dollar amount of about $45,000 from the city of Freeport. We funded at a level of $4.95 per capita, so per resident. The ask last year was $6.96 per capita. The population has grown, so that per capita dollar has reduced, right? The dollar amount that I'm asking for, top dollar amount, has essentially stayed the same. But again, I want this to be evidence that I'm not seeking to grow with our growth. I'm seeking to have generally a fixed idea of an office from a dollar amount, and I'd like to maintain. I thought it was right last year. I think it's right this year, and I'm asking essentially for the same amount to be funded at this year, and again, a lower per capita rate of $6.72. My goal in this budget is next year my goal is to raise $100,000 from the private sector, and I think if we show a couple consecutive years of that, as a community, we can say, should we start lowering our funding from the public sector? And depending on where we're at that time, I think it'll be more safe, and we can do it with more confidence, being that we'll have reoccurring private investment. And that is the conclusion of my presentation. Any questions?
No, you do a good job. I appreciate you.
So is this something that we have to add into the budget? I mean, it's nowhere listed in there at all.
I've got it in there right now, but I need direction from the council. Do you want me to maintain the 45,548?
To me personally, I would say so, because they do a great job. And Uriah has really turned that program around. I mean, it benefits the county, it benefits us.
So from what we did last year compared to the 45,000, what's the difference?
It's about $12,000 in addition.
And it's under membership fee,
Yeah, it's under membership.
so it's in, if you look under the expenditures tab, it's in the next to the bottom line, admin and membership fees.
Mhm.
That's 55. So
Right, you've done a great job.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yes.
I just have to say that, you know, I was very skeptical last year going into this because for years and years, we contributed with nothing. So thank you for all of the progress that you've made. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
getting
Means
this
a lot.
light down here. Thank you for that grant. You've really shown that you've turned that thing around. So
Thank
You
you.
really
Yeah,
got it.
I mean, same, you know that I was a big skeptic too, and you have an amazing job turning it around there. You really have.
And I
You've done a
understand
bang-up
where
job.
Miss Brennan's coming from because she's been through it. She knew. But you turned it around and you've done it, you've made it work.
You kept your
We told you you were gonna
promises
watch
and you're working things. You're doing a really good job, Julia.
Thank you, thank you.
Very
Well,
good job.
I am always here to be constructively criticized as well, so I appreciate the kind words, but know that I wholeheartedly believe that I'm going to try my hardest every day. The people that are working for us are going to try their hardest every day, and anybody that has ideas and input on how we can do it better, I'm always open to that, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I have all the direction I need. I will add on about the next budget workshop next night.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions? Any comments? If not, the budget workshop's adjourned.